All right, and happy playoffs, everybody. This is your playoff edition of the Hardwood Huddle. My name is Randy Zelliot from Back Sports Page, and with me now, his lordship, the Dark Sith himself to the NBA playoffs, Bill Ingram, ladies and gentlemen.
The rocket guy he is, yes.
Yeah. Thanks for making us a part of your Saturday. Check out our TikTok channel. It's heating up with lots of videos of different takes. I got one up there. I tried to get a second one up there yesterday. Bill and Tracy have been rocking it. So we really appreciate you showing your support and checking us out. The play-in tournament is officially over, Bill. We now have our 1 through 8 seeds.
We have our first round roadkill. Yes, they're in position.
And let's break that down first before we start diving into the regular series. I have some questions here, and let's work our way from the last game all the way back to the first game here. Okay. Let's start with the Phoenix Suns versus the Golden State Warriors. Lots of questions coming out of. I think there's more questions coming out of that game than there is when the game going into it and doing everything there. Let's take a look. First question I have for you: did Jalen Green show enough for Phoenix to believe in him?
Because I'll say this as a longtime watcher of Jalen Green and mostly disappointed watcher in Jalen Green. He had two great playoff games. Those two, he showed up both times. He looked like this is the guy the Rockets thought they were drafting 5 years ago. Like, this is the guy we thought would probably be. This is who Jalen Green should have been 3 years ago, right? Or at least 2 years ago.
But is that fair, though? But I'll tell you the reason why I ask if that's fair. Because he came in the league, correct me if I'm wrong, he came in the league at like 19 years old.
Yep, straight out of the G League, our favorite thing. Yes.
Yeah, our favorite thing in the world, the G League. And the reason why I ask if that's fair is because it goes back to the maturity question that I constantly bring up. I constantly bring up saying, and I'm going to use some examples here, and people are going to look at me and go, he's wrong, and then they'll look it up and they're going to say that I'm right. So I'm just going to let you guys know now I'm right, okay? When Kobe Bryant, remember that guy, Kobe Bryant, did a little something in the NBA, won a couple championships, Hall of Fame, did a little something.
All right.
Yeah. Do you know how many points he averaged as a rookie?
Yeah, like 4.
Yeah, it was like 7 points a game.
After he got traded from Charlotte for Vlade Divac.
Yeah, yeah. Like, who won that trade? But what I'm saying is, it took Kobe 3 years to really get himself established in the NBA. Kevin Garnett averaged 10 points a game after coming out of high school in his rookie year, and it took him 3 or 4 years to get himself really established as a star in the NBA. So Jalen Green coming in, I know it's a different NBA from when they came in during the 90s to now, but at the age of 19, you're not coming into the NBA with the knowledge and the skill and your body being willing to have the NBA grind on your body at the age of 19. So that's why I asked that question.
There's one thing that's different from the 90s. You're also going to be competing against a lot of other 19-year-olds, which was not the case in the 90s. But here's the thing with Jalen. It takes him a few years to be who he's going to be. Jalen does not have the eye of the tiger. And if you want to, I'm talking about that Mamba mentality. I'm talking about when the challenge is in front of him, he is very affable about it. He does not lock in and go. And that's motor. And you can't teach or coach motor. A guy is either born with it or they don't have it. And if they don't have it, it's very hard to make that player the centerpiece of your organization. And one sort of extreme but easy to look at example I'll give you is Michael Jordan was like the ultimate assassin, right? The bigger the game, the better he played.
Yeah.
Clyde Drexler was an amazing player, one of my favorite players of all time. But when he had to go against Michael Jordan, he was completely ghosting. Like, his eyes, he wanted no part of it. He did not play the same game. He was very intimidated. And when I look into Jalen Green's eyes, I see the way that Clyde Drexler looked when he was playing against Michael Jordan. There's just a lack of killer instinct there. So he missed half the season this year with a hamstring deal, but he's going to have to show me that before I'm going to throw a ton of money at him. He's going to have to show me that over at least 50 or 60 games out of an 82 game season I need to see it more than I don't. And there are far too many games where he just
doesn't show up.
Oh, did he play? Oh, he had 6 points. Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, that
doesn't do it for me.
But that's the thing. It's a lack of consistency. It's a lack of, hey, are we really going to believe in him now? And is he going to be the guy who's going to help lead you? Like Devin Booker, it's still Devin Booker's team. So Jalen Green
decides he's done with it. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
But so, okay. So here, the answer to your question is going to come on Sunday when they're playing the Oklahoma City Thunder. Does Jalen Green get 30 or 20 when the games really count? Not the preamble, blah, 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 to give Amazon Prime some views and sponsorship money and DraftKings or whoever else. But actual playoff games that really matter, which Jalen Green do we see?
Yeah.
That'll be the answer to your question.
And not only that, but it's also a difference between playing on home and playing on the road, especially playing in Oklahoma City, where they're amped up.
But this is it. If you're going to be a star player in the NBA, that's what it's about. My team is starting in Oklahoma City, one of the toughest places to play against the defending champs, the best team in the league, and I'm going to bring it.
Okay, but I'm sorry, I have to interject on that, and I have to ask this question. There's not a lot of players who can say, okay, I'm going to bring it now because this is the playoffs. He's not equipped to it yet because he hasn't been in those situations yet because he's played on a Houston team where, again, Salgoon, other pieces have dominated the headlines where he's been more of the, I never want to use the word afterthought, but he is not the main focus. And I'm not saying he's the main focus right now either. He's certainly
could
not.
Have been. Houston wanted him to be the main focus. They did. That was plan A. And plan B was Şengün decided, well, if he's not going to do it, I will. That was so. I agree with you that it's a hard way to do it. But what I'm saying is, how much are they going to pay him? Is this the year that you're like, let me give this guy a huge contract, blah, blah, blah? Ask me after the first round. I don't need him. I don't need them to win the series. I don't need him to average 30 points. I need him to give me 20.
Yeah.
And if he does, that's a different conversation. If he's going to give them 6 points, 8 points in 2 or 3 of those games,
I agree. Listen,
I'm out.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Because they're not going to game plan for him. They're going to game plan for Booker.
But okay. So I'm going to use a different expression that I've been using with this. Instead of, we always talk about who's going to be the guy, who's going to be the Jordan, who's going to be the Kobe, who's going to be LeBron.
Yep.
Is there anything wrong with being Scottie Pippen? Is there
Nothing.
anything?
You can make a lot of money.
Well, not only that,
you can win some games.
And if I don't want to name, it's not fair to name drop or use comparisons of other players. But not everybody can be the lead singer of the band. Sometimes you need a drummer. Sometimes you need a bass guitar player. It's just accepting what your role is. The problem is when you have everybody on that team thinking that they're the number one guy, it doesn't work out well.
Coaching, organization. I was watching. Speaking of Scottie Pippen, I was watching the Jailblazers special on Netflix.
I saw that. It's on my list of things to watch.
So Bob Whitsitt, Trader Bob, sits there and says that the personalities of the players don't matter. He doesn't regret a thing. The only regret he has from building that team is that they didn't win a championship. And this is what's wrong with the NBA, with general managers around the NBA, more than not, is they don't understand this component of you got to have the right mix of guys. You got to have the right number of alphas, and you got to have the Batman and the Robins. You got to have Michael and Scotty. And Phoenix doesn't have that mix.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I think Devin Booker will. I think at some point this summer you're going to hear a lot of talk out of Devin Booker's camp about relocation. Is what I think.
Yeah, I'll go with that. By the way, the other news and notes coming out of that second game last night. State of the Warriors. What happens to Kirk, Curry, and Green? There's a lot more questions with the Golden State Warriors than there are answers. And before you go on your take, let me go on mine.
Go for it.
I love Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr is everything right in a basketball coach as far as the NBA is concerned. Agreed. I think if every coach took his mentality, and there's another coach who we're going to talk about in a few minutes, and that mentality as well, this league would be a better place. The problem I think Steve Kerr has is you saw the moment in the highlights on SportsCenter and last night on Prime where they had Green, Kerr, and Curry all together. That's what's left of their championship dynasty. It has been stripped down. You have to decide whether, I'm going to use the old expression, do you want to pull the boat out of the water and rebuild the boat, or do you want to keep plugging holes? They keep trying to plug holes. They try to do it with Jimmy Butler. They try to do it with Porzingis. They try to do it with this guy and that guy. I think you can't keep plugging the hole anymore. I think you need to take it out. And that raises the question is if you decide not to bring Kerr back and you decide not to bring Green, I think Green has a player option. So he'll decide whether he wants to stay there or not. Yeah. If you're Steph Curry, you have to decide whether you want to keep doing this here. I know retiring with one team is a very, very rare thing today. But you have to ask yourself if you're Steph Curry whether you want to stay with the Warriors or not. Now, I'm going to throw one other thing out there before we go with that. You saw that, and then you're going to ask, what does this have to do with the Warriors? I saw a quote from LeBron James saying he does not want to have a quote unquote retirement tour, and he'll make a decision after the playoffs of what he's going to do. There has been lots of talk whether it's Cleveland or the Warriors for next season. Now, LeBron, a 40-something-year-old LeBron James playing with Steph Curry doesn't excite me, but it does intrigue me if you have Porzingis, Jimmy Butler, LeBron James for 30 games, 40 games next season.
You won't have Porzingis, you know that.
Right.
You're right. Him in bubble wrap for the playoffs, and he was all right. But I don't like it at all because LeBron has lost a step, understandably. Jimmy Butler, you've got a bunch of guys who are at a point where they're going to be injured, even Steph. Everybody gets to that point. I don't like that at all. I think for me, I sit down with Steve Kerr and I say, do you want to rebuild this team the way Greg Popovich did? Or do you want to go, there are going to be really good teams looking for coaches this summer, especially if Steve Kerr is available. There will be even more really good teams looking for coaches that might be Steve Kerr and one player away from a serious title run. So you sit down with Steve Kerr and you ask him. He's earned the right. He built that. I mean, it was built kind of Mark Jackson, but he's the one that put it all together and made everything.
I was just about to say the exact same thing. It was sort of built with Mark Jackson, but yeah, go ahead.
Mark Jackson had the total wrong mentality for that team, and Steve had the perfect mentality. Right. So he made them a four-time NBA championship team. So he's earned the right to say, okay, I'm going to stay and let's reboot and let's rebuild and maybe and then you sit down with Steph and say, okay, this is what we're doing. We're rebuilding. Do you want to be here like Kobe kind of was at the end of his career with the Lakers, like Dirk was at the end of his career with the Mavs? Like your title runs are over, but you want to stay home and get paid to stay home and be the influence on the next generation of this team?
Man,
it's hard because Steph can still contribute to a championship. There's no question about that.
I think
he can't do it in Golden State.
I think Steph Curry's days as a number one guy are over.
Yep.
And Jimmy Butler's days of being a number two guy is over. Jimmy Butler, when he comes back from his injury, is going to be a number three, number four. Jimmy Ball is over. Jimmy Ball's done. You can't do that.
Yep.
So let's go back to the Eastern Conference for a second, and we're going to go back to the first playing game that we saw. Changes in Miami for the Miami Heat. I got to tell you something. Bam Adebayo, if Bam doesn't go out with injury, the outcome of that game might have been a little different. But
might have been, yeah.
But
it was tight, man.
That game. Look, Charlotte was down 8 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Davion Mitchell.
What was it, like a minute and a half, 2 minutes to go? I was watching and I was like, when it got down 8, I switched over to, I think, the Astros game for a few minutes. And I came back and was like, wait, we're in overtime now? Okay.
Andrew Wiggins, Davion Mitchell, like those guys played great ball. Tyler Hero. you can say what you want about the Miami Heat, about losing Jimmy Butler and Heat culture and all those other things, but it's really true. Just talk about Steve Kerr being the head coach where he sort of can call his own shot. I think we could say the same thing about Eric Spoelstra. Eric Spoelstra, the longest tenured coach in the Eastern Conference, has done a tremendous job, and he has the right to call his own shot, and he's not going anywhere. He's going to stay in Miami, and he's going to help rebuild that ship. The problem is, with the free agent classes the next 2 years coming up, Miami's a very desirable spot.
Sure.
No state taxes. But take all the business side out of it. From a basketball standpoint, right now you have your number 2, number 3, and your role players set. They need a number 1.
Yeah.
And they have assets.
Mm-hmm.
That's the scary part. So if they decided to make a move for Giannis and they're able to keep their core, they're a championship contender next year.
Which they could do because Milwaukee is going to rebuild whether they like it or not.
Right.
And Miami could send them the pieces to do that. To start
Milwaukee's in a very, very tough spot.
Horrible. Yeah. They dug their own graves in a certain way, but yeah.
Yeah, I think this is one of those situations where you look at you look at the Milwaukee Bucks and you look at them, and they tried to plug. Again, we talked about trying to rebuild or plug holes.
Yeah,
and they should have tried to rebuild. I think last year. This year should have been a year where they just tore the whole thing apart. And there were deals on the table for Giannis, and they just refused it. And
they're in denial. Hey, look, if Damian Lillard had been able to play, if he doesn't get hurt, and if Giannis, the thing about Giannis is he doesn't play either.
No,
you're talking about these guys who never play.
But he wants to play.
Well, at the end he did, yeah.
Okay,
but he gets hurt all the time, and I don't know if he's really hurt. I don't know if it's this sort of load management hurt-ish thing that so many NBA teams are doing, or if he's really hurt. But my God, he's not quite Anthony Davis bad, but every time I turn on the Bucks to try and watch him, he's never in the game. He's never playing.
Well, so it's funny you say that too, because the next topic, excellent segue. The Clippers. Excellent segue there, Bill. Excellent.
They already bought the brooms.
Yeah.
They did. They already bought the brooms. They've already got James Harden out, which immediately improved the defensive end of the floor. They got Zubats out. Like now it's they were they were historically better after being down 15. They 15 games below 500, and then they were 15. I saw something about that was an historic turnaround just by getting rid of James Harden.
Yeah, and I think Ray Charles saw that coming. You know what I mean?
You know how much I love James Harden.
Yeah. It's funny too with the Clippers is you look at a team. I like the Darius Garland pickup. I think he's going to fit perfectly in LA. He's out of Cleveland. He's in a bigger market. I think his personality is good. Yeah, I think he's great. I think if you're the Clippers, you got to get the headache that is Kawhi Leonard out of there. Okay, yep. and then what you do is you build around Darius Garland. The problem is they have no draft.
I love Mathurin. I'm going to keep saying Mathurin because I love Mathurin's game. I really do.
They need to try and make as many trades to get as many young players and as many draft picks as you can, and have a 4-year window. But this is going to be on Lawrence Frank, who Lawrence Frank again still has a coach's mentality, not a GM's mentality. I'm trying to figure out, and you know how I feel about the Nets and Lawrence Frank and the history there. You know that I love Lawrence to death. I'm trying to figure out what qualifies him to be a basketball executive.
I try to figure that out about 25 of the NBA GMs. No, you're right. He's a very coach mentality, and show me what he's done as a front office guy.
And if you look at, I'm going to use the Nets as an example. Sean Marks was under the Popovich tree.
Yeah.
And the San Antonio tree. So everyone keeps on saying, what does Sean Marks accomplish? He's a terrible GM, blah, blah, blah. I want to remind everybody what happens after when Billy King was there. When Billy King gave up the house for an aged out Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Jason Terry. and he turned that into D'Angelo Russell. He traded Brooke Lopez. He got out of cap. Sean Marks got out of no draft picks and cap hell to rebuild that team to be an exciting team, to getting to two hottest free agents in Irving and Durant to sign there.
Yeah.
He had a clean house, and whatever. That's what happens. What happened with the Nets with Irving and Durant and James Harden is what happens when you give the keys to the house to the players.
That's right. The Clippers did the same thing.
Yep. So
Paul George, James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, like what? What are you doing?
And if you're a Nets fan and you don't think that the Nets are doing the right thing right now by drafting 5 rookies and totally rebuilding their franchise, if you don't think that's the right thing, then you're not following the NBA.
Yep. Like you're not following Charlotte. You're not following Oklahoma City. You're not following Detroit. You're not following what Houston did.
Right. Like I'm listening to these Twitter groups. I hop into like these little Twitter X. I go on X and they see these little X spaces, and I'm listening to Nets fans talk on how this is a disgrace, how they're not even a real NBA team, and how can Sean Marks do this? Look, what he did was he took 5 guys, and he took all season and developed them, and every single one of them got better.
If you watch them, I know you did, but to our viewers, if you watched the Nets the last 10 or 15 games of the season, you know what Sean Marks is doing. You see it.
Yeah, you see it, and now he has a top 3 chance of getting the number 1 pick this year. Will it happen? Probably not. The way the lottery is, somehow the Golden State Warriors will end up with the number 1 pick, and they'll draft someone big, and the Warriors are going to be somehow the Lakers are going to end up with the number 1 pick and win. Well, actually, it's funny you say that because the Oklahoma City has the Clippers pick this year. So if the Clippers win the lottery, the Thunder get the number 1 pick. So imagine if they win a second championship and get the. I thought it only can happen in 2K, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
it can happen in real life.
If Sam Presti calls you and he wants something you have, just say no. Even if it sounds good, just say no, because Sam Presti is smarter than you. Just.
You'll say to him, "Let me call you back," and then you're going to really look at it, and you're going to say,
"Yep,
no, I'm not doing that."
Yep.
No. Next question. We just talked about the Miami Heat Charlotte Hornets game. Let's talk about the big wins and the big letdown. It's funny. I watched that Hornets game, and it's obviously the best game of the play-in this year.
Yeah, that Miami game. Yeah.
I think LaMelo Ball, who again shows what he can do this season when he is healthy, when he is in the lineup. But the problem is the team is still so young. I think they said they were the 3rd youngest team in the NBA. Is the Charlotte Hornets?
Yeah,
that team is only going to get better. And if that team stays healthy, that team stays healthy, they're going to be a top 6 team next year. There's not a doubt in my mind.
And you're exactly right. It's LaMelo Ball, Miles Bridges. I mean, Con Knuppel should be Rookie of the Year. Maybe it's going to be our boy here in Dallas, Cooper Flag. But I think winning percentage should matter. I think contributions to a winning team should matter. But, whatever. It's political. They have 2 really good young big men in the middle. They have really what they're missing is like a wing. And if I was talking to my cousin's youngest son is a huge NBA fan, and we talk all the time. He lives in Charlotte. And we were talking about this last night. And I was like, what they need is that veteran who comes in and makes a difference. And we were kind of looking at free agents, and I was like, you're not talking about a home run. You're not talking about it's $46 million a year for somebody like that. But Tobias Harris, if Detroit doesn't want to pay him to stick around, there's a guy, very reliable wing, 3-point shooter, veteran voice in the locker room. They need a move like that. And then they do have a 1st-round pick. Right. But I think if you could add just the right veteran wing, a reliable 3-point shooter to add more spacing and create more problems when you try to trap LaMelo or you try to run Con Knuppel off the 3-point line, they're that kind of piece away. They're not a home run away. I think they're almost a bunt or a pop fly that lands for a single.
I actually have the perfect guy for you.
Okay.
I think they should go out there and get Dennis Schroeder.
Well, but they have Kobe White.
Right, but it's just having a veteran presence on that team. Schroeder did that for Detroit last year.
Yeah.
And it really, he really
I wanted Houston to get him. I like him. I'm not saying I don't value Schroeder. I do. I thought Houston should have gotten Kobe White. They didn't want to give up Tari Eason, who forgot how to play this year. I'm like, really? You need a point guard.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that in a minute when we get to the
Kobe White did for Charlotte exactly what they needed done. So, I mean, I wouldn't hate it, but they have a starting point guard and they have a great backup point guard.
Yeah, I just feel like how many times did the Warriors have a first tier forward and a second tier forward, and they kept Udonis Haslem around. Yeah. You always need a guy like Udonis Haslem to sort of keep things in perspective for everybody. And by the way, he does a great job on Prime. He does. He does. He does a great job on Prime. I didn't think he was going to do that good, and he was great. I love him. Mm-hmm. By the way, Blake Griffin does nothing for that broadcast.
Most of those, no, not really. Yeah. But big win or big letdown, I think what happened is the Hornets got caught up in the moment. It happens. You see it with young teams. They come in confident, ready to go. The closer it got to the playoffs, the more the game started to mean where they could have moved up. They had a hiccup in their confidence. But you go through it. You win that first game. You come back. And then LaMelo was awful in the first half against Orlando. Then he came back and was really good in the second half. Like, it's a growth situation, and I think Charlotte's the team to watch for the foreseeable future in the Eastern Conference. There's a lot of teams in the East that are not, and Charlotte is on their way up.
And I also don't think that you have to worry about Ball wanting to get out of there. I think Ball's there for the long haul. I think he really likes that team. I'll tell you, Knoepel, again, rookie, streaky shooter. Very streaky. And like when he was off in that Miami game, my stepson, who's a huge Knoepel fan, looked at me and goes, "How'd he do?" And I said, they sat him halfway through the fourth quarter and they didn't play him in overtime at all because he was that off. 0 for 7 from 3-point line. It just wasn't worth keeping him out.
His confidence was shaken,
Yeah. But that's what you expect from young players. Yeah, young players, you expect that. Let's jump into the series. Let's jump into the Eastern Conference. Okay. And let's start where we picked up from last night. Pick up where we left off last night. The Pistons and the Magic. Listen, it's all for the Pistons. All about Cade Cunningham. And who their number 2 really is. Who is the number 2 on that team? We know Cade's number 1. Who's going to step up when the attention goes to Cade? And that's really, really what it comes down to. We talk about the Hornets being a team to watch for the future. I just feel like the Magic gave up so much of their future for Desmond Bane.
They did.
There's other pieces out there. You gave it all up to be the number 8 seed this season.
Mm-hmm.
Help me out here. What am I missing? Am I missing something here?
What you're missing is they desperately need a point guard.
Okay.
Like an elite point guard, and they don't have it. And
you know what I'm going to ask you, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm going to ask you. No, you know what I'm going to ask. Okay.
You're going to ask me.
You know exactly what I'm going to ask you.
Go ahead and ask me.
Who are the elite point guards in this league that, one, would be available, and 2, that we still consider elite point guards in this league that will help distribute the ball to take advantage of the talent that they have? Not the point guard like a Kyrie Irving who's going to say, got to make sure I get my 25 points. I'll dish it out once I see I get my points. But are we talking about Chris Paul type of point guard, a Kemba Walker type of point guard? Are we talking what are we talking about at this point?
So you're talking about Cade Cunningham. You're talking about SGA. You're talking about Steph Curry, although, as we've mentioned, he's kind of on the downhill side. You're talking about I think I will start to put LaMelo Ball in that category. He had a lot to do with why Charlotte was as good as they were. San Antonio has 3 really, really good.
Okay, really so you just opened the door to something right there. Because what happens if the Orlando
Jamal Murray? I like Jamal Murray.
Okay, but what happens if I'm sorry for interrupting you, but what happens if the Magic picks up the phone
Brunson?
call?
How about Okay, go ahead. There's about 5 or 6. Let's go there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll even throw Maxey in there too.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes. Yes. Tyrese Maxey, of course.
Throw Maxey there as well.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if the Magic decided to make a phone call to the Spurs and said, we're willing to take De'Aaron Fox's contract, and they're able to find a way to not have to trade the house for him, and you put Fox on the Magic with this team, you're now talking a top 4 team in the Eastern, maybe a top 3. But that's what, you're right. That is what they need. They need a top tier. They need a point guard who's distributing the ball, because they do not have it right now. They try.
And San Antonio has 3. And if they had perfect future vision, they probably wouldn't have made the De'Aaron Fox deal, because you don't know how the draft is going to go. But Dylan Harper was fantastic.
Yep.
Stephon Castle. I mean, they do not need De'Aaron Fox. So there's a piece that he was somebody I thought Houston should have been after at the trade. Again, I seem to be the only one who realized Houston needed a point guard at the trade deadline. Certainly their personnel did not. I think all the fans knew it, just the front office guys didn't. But De'Aaron Fox is a step in and immediately help type of player. And Orlando, Miami, there are a few teams that would just flip a switch and they're instantly 10 to 15 games better, maybe 20 games better on the season with De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah. It baffles my mind. Like you just said, that you don't understand why Houston didn't pick up on it. It's a couple different teams, but I think also one of the biggest problems around the league is a lot of teams are so hamstrung with their contract situations and the salary cap that they're not looking at right now. A player might fit right now, but next year and the year after that, they don't want to have to deal with the salary meltdown that they would have to deal with as far as the structure of the contracts and everything of that sort. It's not like the NFL, where the NFL guys, you can restructure contracts midway through. NBA has guaranteed contracts, or like Major League Baseball, where there's no salary cap, there's just luxury tax you have to deal with. And so the NBA is in a real tough situation with those contracts. That's a whole other topic for another time. But I think the Pistons are also sort of like a well-oiled machine. But I think out of all of the matchups where you can possibly see an upset, the Magic have talent. And I think if they can get on a roll and they can get it together, they just have never really had it this year. There was never that consistency where you felt that Orlando was in a groove and you sort of feared them. You never felt like you feared them this year.
No, you kept wondering why they weren't better than they were.
Yes.
But I got to tell you, Detroit, with that inside-out punch between Duren and Cunningham, and then we've talked about Tobias Harris. You got a lot of reliable guys on the wing, reliable guys off the bench. Asar Thompson is maybe the second best defender in the league after his twin brother. They have all the pieces. They have veterans. They have a lot of young guys that have lost in the playoffs, had that Charlotte thump last year. I don't think anybody in the Eastern Conference outside of maybe the Boston Celtics. I certainly don't think Orlando's going to challenge them. Does it go 4 games? No, you know how the league likes to extend games. Scott Foster will be involved in some of that, but I don't see Orlando getting more than 2 games in that series.
And so, from that series, then let's jump to who would play the winner of that series. Let's go to the Cavs and the Raptors. I think this is probably going to be the most competitive series in the East in round 1, and I'm actually really looking forward to it. This is the first time we're going to see Scotty Barnes in the playoffs. No, sorry. No, he made the playoffs his rookie year. Yeah, he made the playoffs his rookie year. I really like the Raptors makeup. Brandon Ingram is in there. He
played 77 games.
And nobody noticed.
Brandon Ingram, my cousin, played 77 games. Has he played 77 games combined in the last 4 seasons?
And nobody noticed. And nobody noticed him. And nobody noticed. Last season, he came to the team, and he didn't get to play a game until this season.
Yeah,
they're looking great. They're looking solid. But again, are they a team that you're going to say, can they beat the Cavs? I absolutely think they can beat the Cavs. I think
the Cavaliers already had a clutch moment problem.
Mm-hmm.
And then they brought in James Harden, who, how many playoff games has he been in? Does he average like 3 points a game in the play? As soon as the playoffs start, his brain's at the strip club. All of a sudden, he thinks the offensive end is also the defensive end, and he doesn't play either one.
I still use what you always say about him when it came to COVID, that he invented social distancing before COVID was a thing.
That's right.
It's
100%. On the defensive end, he's been social distancing for how many years has he been in the league? So I think if there's a team ripe for a first-round early exit, the Cleveland Cavaliers helped Toronto by moving Garland and getting James Harden, because last year, as you know, and our viewers know, I bought into Cleveland. I thought this is the Cavaliers' year. It's going to be Spider Mitchell leading that, and then no. Well, they're not as good as they were last year. So, yeah,
I have a very hard time, like you just said, believing in the Cavaliers this year.
Yeah,
and they get, like I said, that they were going to be with the injury to Tatum and not knowing exactly where the Pistons lie with their, where they were. I said, watch out for the Cavs and the Knicks being the top two teams. And I never have felt that the Cavs were as in it as they were last year.
Nope.
And it's a shame.
While the Raptors, Brandon Ingram, RJ Barrett, Scotty Barnes, quickly, they Podol in the middle, they have a lot of really good pieces, a lot of guys, even Mamush Klashashvili, whose name I can never say. They have a lot of tough guys that play. Grady Dick is going to kill you from three. They have a lot of depth, a lot of different weapons.
Yeah, they're a very, very, very dangerous team.
They don't have an assassin. They don't have the guy that's going to win the game for you when it matters most against any other team they face in the playoffs. But I think they can take the Cavaliers. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just don't like the chances. I think if you're going to look at a lower seed beating a higher seed, you're going to look at the Cavs falling to the Raptors.
Yep.
Let's go to the possible upset. And of course, my friends and family up in this area will kill me. The Knicks and the Hawks, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, you talk about teams that really helped themselves at the trade deadline. Wow.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Wow is correct, because the Knicks made that deal for the kid from the Hornets, not the Hornets, the Pelicans.
Yep.
And he has been spectacular.
The Hawks,
for them.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the Knicks made a deal with the Pelicans for, I think it was Alvarez.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah. Alvarez is fan. He was another one. I was like, the Rockets should really be talking to. Yep. No, that's true. And he has stepped in and he's been great. He's relentless, man. I mean, relentless on both ends of the floor.
It was an unbelievable pickup for them. And I watched him live and I said, man, like, just imagine if you can have guys on your team that can be harassing point guards like that. Oh, I love it. That's the type of defense that I promote when I coach. Here is my problem with the Knicks, and here's my problem with the Hawks. I'll start with the Hawks. Jalen Johnson, since Trae Young was traded from this team, has stepped up, and he has looked like a team leader, and he looks like an NBA All-Star. I can't say enough positive things about Jalen Johnson.
Yep.
Where are you getting the others scoring from? And is there enough? Because if the Knicks are on the same page with each other, the Knicks have a lot more weapons than the Hawks do.
They do. They have more big names. I like Alexander Walker a lot. CJ McCollum, I like a lot. Is this where Jonathan Kuminga shows up and averages? No.
We've been waiting for that for
just kidding.
Everybody was looking at him as like, oh my God, you have to trade for him. If you have the opportunity to trade for him, or if you can get Kuminga on your team, the Warriors, the Warriors can't keep him, and he hasn't done anything.
Yeah, Reese Haché is an interesting. He's shown some flashes, especially after in the second half of the season.
He's young. He's so young.
That's an X factor maybe, but I think you're going to run into that young player in the playoffs.
I think they'll give them fits. They're going to give the Knicks fits now.
Yeah.
But my biggest problem is the one problem that you and I have talked about the Knicks, and it's the same problem that the Timberwolves had, was when Karl Anthony Towns played on their team. Mm-hmm. Karl Anthony Towns is a 7-footer who should be hanging out in the paint, and instead he is loving being a perimeter player.
Yep. Doesn't want to engage in the paint, and that's what they need him to do. I mean, at the end of the day, they have lots of guys who can play on the perimeter. Jalen Brunson is fantastic. They need someone to create space for him, screen for him, and they do a pretty good job of that. But Karl Anthony Towns should be on that 1-2 game, and you can't do that when you're standing outside. When your point guard you're to the right of him instead of in front of him. That just doesn't. That's not how that works.
When he goes down to the paint, he's dangerous. But when he's hanging out on top of the key, he's useless.
It's not quite as bad as Steven Adams. The Rockets love to run this play where Steven Adams has the ball at the top of the key, and you watch the defense evaporate like a predator walks onto the savannah, and all the prey just scatter. They give him the ball up there, and the defense is like, "Oh, good, he's not really going to hurt us here," and that's
a problem, a huge problem, and the hard part is
you have Michael Bridges to shoot threes. You have Anunoby to shoot threes. You have Josh Hart.
Yes, but there's a disconnect though when Brunson and Towns are on the court with each other, and it's a nasty disconnect between the two.
Yep.
And
there's something going on there that is not being talked about. The chemistry there is a little bit like Şengün and Kevin Durant in Houston. You can tell it just
doesn't mesh well.
Yeah.
They don't like each other. It doesn't mesh well. But here's the other problem with it too. Now Towns is also hearing, hey, when we head into the offseason, whether we win, lose, or draw, we're going after Giannis, and you're going to be the centerpiece of that Giannis deal. So it's like,
if Milwaukee's stupid, you bet.
Right, but
you're right. You don't make that note.
Right,
it's horrible mismanagement. I love the way the Spurs do things because you don't know what deal they're making until it is done. There is no rumor. There is no innuendo. There is no nothing. It's all of a sudden, bam, the Spurs have just made a move, and you had no idea what they were going to do. And that's how every team in the league should be run.
And
the team press release is how you should learn about every move that's made by the team so that the player knows first. And that's not how things are done. And it's the stupidest thing. I always thought it was the stupidest thing. When I was covering the NBA full time, I just thought that was the dumbest thing. But that's how a lot of teams operate.
I think you're 100% right. Especially on New York sports radio, they talk about the moves to death. Oh, okay, they finally made that move. All right, they've only been talking about that for 3 months.
I think sometimes the sports radio talks the front office into doing it.
Yeah,
I really do.
Especially
there are some GMs who have so little confidence in what they're doing that even the GMs will float it to see what the fan reaction is before they make a move. Oh my God. Worst way to run a team.
One of my buddies used to be, I don't think he's down there anymore. He used to do Houston Talk Radio, Patrick Creighton. And Pat would tell me that the craziness of the Houston sports on how everybody would be listening so much to what the media guys were saying. And he would always say to me, is like, we're trying to find out from the teams, but the teams are asking us. And we're like, the first series, the 4-5 series. Well, the one thing we didn't do, let's go back real quick to that Pistons series.
Okay.
I have Pistons in 5.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have the Raptors in 6.
Okay.
And I have the Knicks in 6.
6. Yeah. Yep.
I think they're going to give the Hawks are going to give the Knicks issues, but I don't think they're going to beat them. And then the final series in the Eastern Conference. Look, it's the 76ers versus the Celtics. The Celtics was supposed to be they were supposed to have a down year this year, and all of a sudden Tatum's back, Vujicic's there. All their role players are playing at a disgustingly high level.
Yep. Disgustingly high level. That's right.
Disgustingly high level. I think this is Celtics in 5.
Yeah.
And maybe for the Sixers don't have Embiid. Edgecombe's gonna be playing like a deer in headlights, and Maxi's gonna be on an island by himself. And Paul George is just hoping.
Jaylen Brown's had an MVP season. Jaylen Brown has shown that he's the man, and I think that puts Jason Tatum's long-term future in Boston in jeopardy. But Jaylen Brown has been absolutely amazing this season, and I don't know if they get all the way to the finals, but I also wouldn't bet against it, and I don't think they lose more than one game. Yeah, I'm with you.
And by the way, I think we just said Maxey will be on his own island. Paul George is going to hope he doesn't test positive during the playoffs.
Right?
You just try to be you try to have fun with it, but I just don't. I think the Sixers in over their head. I just don't know if Edgecombe is going to be able to adjust to a playoff atmosphere as quickly. He had a great regular season.
Especially going against a veteran, grizzled, playoff tested. I mean, it's a tall order. Tall order for a rookie.
Very tall order. All right, let's real quick jump into the West.
Okay.
And going into the Western Conference, we'll start with your Houston Rockets. We'll go with the Lakers and the Rockets. Look, the Lakers are the walking wounded.
Yeah.
We don't know if Luka is going to play at all.
Probably. They're saying he's not going to, and Austin Reeves is out.
Okay, so LeBron James is leading this team, and you're going to be seeing a lot of Bronny James. So it's
which is good for Houston.
It's good for Houston.
I think the Rockets have to beat themselves in this series, and I wouldn't put it past them. They're going to start the series without Kevin Durant because he has knee soreness. Really? Is that load management? Come on, be serious. Knee soreness? That's what ice is for. But the Rockets will have to beat themselves in this series. What they will have to do is the most boneheaded thing that I've seen them do it so many times this year. They're going to run a dual ISO offense. And I don't know why Ime Udoka doesn't have he has zero imagination on the offensive end. Is Mike D'Antoni dead? I know he's retired. He's like 75 or 77 years old or something, but Ime Udoka has no idea how to run an offense. Like none. So the duo, we're going to take turns, ISO offense. It's like the Steve Francis days. Şengün's going to try to back somebody, make the most bonehead. I mean, the turnovers, even Kevin Durant makes these asinine little slide, little bounce, but like, oh my God, they drive me nuts. Houston also has the ability to put, if Jabari Smith Jr. is hitting his shots and you got Amen Thompson is as good as anybody around the rim. If you leave, you can't leave him because he'll be at the rim and somebody's going to throw him a lob pass. I love his game. Reed Shepherd has had an incredible year-over-year improvement up there in the most improved player race, in my opinion, because he's shown he can get his shot off, even though he's 5'10". They have a lot of weapons that can come in and hurt you. If Tari Eason could actually remember how to score, Houston has the ability to move the ball, create open shots, and make open shots. The problem is they're also very willing to get lazy on that and just resort to ISO ball, especially in the fourth quarter. And I don't care what team you're playing. That's the easiest offense in the league to beat.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Lakers have a shot here. I'm going to go Houston, and I'll say 6. I'm tempted to go 5. Assuming Luka does not play, which does seem to be the case. If Luka doesn't play, I still think Houston finds a way to lose a game. But I will put a caveat on that Houston also can play a very stupid offense. And if they insist on doing that, any team could beat them. I just think the injury factor is too much for the Lakers to overcome.
No, that's fair. I actually am looking. I'm going to say 5 games. Rockets in 5.
Yeah.
I don't know. 40-something-year-old LeBron James trying to carry a team just seems very unrealistic and very irresponsible.
Yeah, it's dumb, but that's what they have left.
And you don't want to use the word irresponsible when you talk about professional organizations,
right?
But it just feels very irresponsible for them to put all this on a 40-something-year-old player.
Yep.
So let's go to the next series, one that I feel is going to be very interesting. And I felt like if the Lakers would have held on to the number 3 seed, having that rematch against the Wolves would have been really fun, because I don't think the outcome would have been the same.
Right.
I think the Wolves, like the Nuggets, are a different animal. Winning 11 in a row, the closing the season. I'm scared of the Nuggets.
Yep.
Because they figured out how to use Cam Johnson. They got Jamal Murray, who's all of a sudden finding out that he's Jamal Murray again. Aaron Gordon being Aaron Gordon again. And Jokic is like...
Jokic is MVP, very solid, just very casually MVP every year. I mean, puts up MVP numbers.
Jokic is just sitting there doing, you know what? Watch this. OKC in San Antonio? Here, hold my beer. Watch what I can do. Okay, good. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I wouldn't want to play the Lake. I was really hoping Houston would catch the Lakers, because it was on the last night of the season, it was between the Lakers and the Nuggets, and there's no way Houston can beat the Nuggets. So, I don't think the Wolves have a shot either. I think the Wolves will get a couple of games, but Denver's going to come out of that series. If I don't bet on sports ever, if I were a betting person, this is a series I would bet on. I would take Nuggets in 6.
And, you know, it's funny. We talked before about Orlando needing a point guard. Minnesota needs a point guard battle. I love Mike Conley. Conley, I love Mike Conley.
Too. But man, when he was a rookie, I got to know him in Houston. Great guy. And then he really came into his own in Memphis. The thing is, we all get old, you know?
Yeah.
That's
it's part of life, man. It's part of life. Yep. You get old. But I got to tell you that, like, do you want to talk about a team that De'Aaron Fox would?
Oh man.
Put him in Minnesota with Anthony Edwards and Rudy Gobert, and
it's over. Now Minnesota, it would make the West so much better than the East. I mean, you wouldn't even need to watch the Eastern Conference playoffs.
No, it's beyond frustrating, because
you
know, it's when it rains it pours, and man, San Antonio, it poured in San Antonio when it came to getting these guards. You know, the one guy we're not talking about from there, you know, we talked about Dylan Harper, we talked about De'Aaron Fox. We're not talking about Castle.
Yeah,
we're not talking about him.
I did mention him. Stefan Castle is. I'll take him on my team any day. You bet.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go. Nuggets in 5.
Very possible. I say 6, but 5 wouldn't surprise me at all. I think Anthony Edwards has something to say, but I think it's only twice.
Speaking of series that may not go along, the Spurs and the Blazers, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Yes. I feel bad for Portland. I really do. I grew up a lot of my childhood in Oregon, and my grandmother was the world's biggest Blazers fan back before it was televised. And we'd sit in her living room, and if the Blazers game was on, the radio was on, and nobody talked. We're listening to the Blazers. And then I lived up there when Clyde Drexler went to college, started college in Oregon. When Clyde Drexler got traded from Houston, I told everybody, Rockets are going to repeat. And the Blazers were saying, Clyde's washed up. I was like, watch him with Akeem. So I was a big fan of those Blazers, those teams that got to the championship twice. But this is a team that doesn't have its identity yet. There are some interesting pieces. They started Scoot Henderson. Like, what? But
he actually played okay. He played
okay. He played.
He played well against Phoenix.
But San Antonio, I got to tell you, I wouldn't want to play them. They almost caught Oklahoma City for the best record. They were absolutely stunning. Wembanyama is, one of the best defensive players in the league, not to mention offensively, he's a beast, can score from anywhere. They've got so many great young, this is the Greg Popovich thing. He just rebooted. And I think he deserves a ton of credit for that, because so many other coaches, like Phil Jackson, for example, so many other coaches would walk away. We'll see what Steve Kerr does. They would not want to stay and completely rebuild the team. And that is exactly what Popovich did. And he rebuilt it the same way he built the Tim Duncan, Manu, Tony Parker, 4-time NBA champions. Draft, develop, complement.
It's infuriating because they accelerated it.
They did. Oh, man.
Like, they did it really quick. And like, by the way,
helps when you get the number 1 pick and there's actually an all-world amazing player at number 1. That's not always the case.
It might help you a little bit.
That helps. Yeah. It didn't help Dallas that much, but yeah, that's Dallas.
The same argument that we had earlier about Jalen Green, I put it with Scoot Henderson too. He's just a young kid. He's just finding his footing in the NBA. The problem is when you're on a bad, like, there's a difference when, like, the Rockets were competing and a little bit of a different place than the Blazers were. You're the Blazers. Yeah, you have to make sure you put the right pieces around Scoot Henderson to help him grow. And I just don't know if they're doing that right now. I like Tiago Splitter. I say that. I think Tiago Splitter deserves to be the head coach next season. And Avdija, it helps that you've got the league is trying to get Israel involved in marketing and all that stuff. So you have an Israeli player who suddenly gets a lot more trips to the free throw line, blah, 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 whatever. But hey, full credit to him. They've done some good things this season. There's something to build around, but they got a lot of building to do. Yeah, they do.
And they're going to it's going to be a rude entrance to the playoffs.
Well, speaking of rude entrances and exits to the playoffs, let's talk about the Thunder and the Suns.
Yeah.
I think it's another five gamer.
Maybe 4.
Yeah. The Phoenix
Suns. Yeah.
The Phoenix. I know we talked about Jalen Green earlier in the show. Look, we talk about it. The NBA playoffs can't be like a light bulb where you turn on and off like a switch. But for the Thunder, I feel like it is. I feel like the Thunder was just sort of biding its time. Now all their guys are going to be healthy, ready to go, and they're going to come out and they're going to blow the doors off of everybody.
They showed it down the stretch. When it got down to the stretch, they were like, "Okay, let's go," and they looked unstoppable. And I think that's what we're going to see. Mm-hmm.
They looked at San Antonio. And they actually looked at the Spurs and said, "Spurs, you hold my beer.
Yes,
let me show you what to do." And
that game was that was the big one where you're like, "Oh,
yeah, right.
Yeah, the Thunder are ready." Okay,
yeah, Thunder are ready for the playoffs. So yeah, this is maybe I'll give Phoenix 1 game on their home court. That's a maybe.
You're being generous. Well, wait, but is Scott Foster going to ref one of those games? Yeah, we'll give him 1 game.
Yeah, I always think it's safety when you give them 5. All right, well, they swept them. They saved themselves that extra 2 days. But yeah,
they like that marketing. Always remember the NBA is a business. If there's a way to extend a series, they will do it.
I'll give the Suns 1 game, but it's be a 5-game series, and then next week when we come back, we'll see where we are after the first couple games. But we said the Thunder in 5, the Spurs in 5, the Nuggets in 5, the Rockets. Did we say the Rockets in 5? Or Rockets in 6. I think I said the Rockets.
It should be Rockets in 4. I'm convinced they're going to beat themselves at least once. So I'll say Rockets in 5. Yeah.
Okay, and then in the East, we said I think, did I say Pistons in 5 or Pistons sweep?
Yeah,
I think
we said 5. Same thing.
Pistons 5, Celtics 5,
maybe.
Celtics 5, Knicks in 6, and Raptors in 6. Right? That's what we said. Raptors are going to be the one that upsets the.
Yeah, if there's an upset, it's Raptors. Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's where we are in the first round. We had a nice reaction to the play-in tournament. We're not at the lottery yet, and we didn't see a lot of head coaching moves besides Doc Rivers. I don't think we made it to the airwaves when Doc stepped down. You've known Doc for a while. Quick reaction to Doc Rivers no longer being the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Well, if you're following our TikTok channel that we just started like 2 weeks ago, I did do a reaction to that. It was really interesting because you Google, and he told the team to Google him, right? You need to Google me. If you have to say that to your team, you've lost your team. And it was clear he had lost the team. You can't say the losses are all his fault, but he wasn't the right guy for that job in the first place. So Doc Rivers is more of an old school guy who doesn't understand new school guys. And when you have to say Google me, and when you Google him, you see that has like all these records for most eliminations in the first round. And like he had one run with a really good Boston team and he won the championship. So, hey, good for you. But it's not like he's Greg Popovich. It's not like he's Eric Spoelstra. He's not even like Rick Carlisle. Like, that's just not the kind of coach that he is. So Google me. Yeah, you're gonna Google your job search for next year, because I think the NBA has passed Doc's head coaching ability, in my opinion. He's still he can be a great presence, but
he's an assistant coach. He's an assistant coach. He's an advisor. He's an advisor. He is not a head coach in this league anymore.
Front office advisor, something like that. Yep. But Google me.
We'll Google you. We'll Google you when it's, you know. And what's even more amazing is he's going to the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah. Well, he's accomplished a lot. He was a great player. He won a championship as a coach. But as I mentioned, Randy and I, and also Tracy Graven, our silent partner today, we're all doing TikToks on the Hardwood Huddle on TikTok. And as things break today, I'll be doing some commentary on James Harden's $54 million 1 year that he turned down. So make sure you're following us there for more day-to-day instant reaction kind of stuff as well. Yeah.
And the other part I'm very much looking forward to, man, Bill, with the playoffs kicking in, you know, I'm gonna also let you guys know I'm gonna be doing a TikTok video on our page. I'm gonna break down what's going on with the Brooklyn Nets as well, as much as Bill does also with the Rockets. I got to tell you, I'm very much looking forward to seeing where the draft lottery puts my boys. Me
too.
Like, you look at it,
really interested.
Yeah, I think it's going to be very interesting. And the reason why I think it's interesting is if you look at the big picture from a Nets perspective, they don't own their pick next year. You know who does?
Yes, I know who owns that pick.
Yep.
I do happen to know that, Randy.
Yes. You happen to have a fair idea of where that pick is going next year, Bill.
Uh-huh.
So for the Nets, it's this year or bust as far as the draft is concerned. So I gotta very much look forward to keep an eye on that, and we'll see where that whole thing plays out.
Yep.
Hey, Bill, this was fun. We got an hour in, and glad we're starting to we're getting our groove back. I feel good about that.
Yep. Always.
So follow the show through all podcast platforms, and of course, backsportspage.com. Follow Bill Ingram. Follow myself. You see it. The Rocket Guy is everywhere. I'm at Randy BSB, and we'll see you next week here on the Hardwood Huddle.